It's hard to put into words, to be honest. I think yes, I always just remind myself, it's a privilege every time you get to play and captain the All Blacks. I enjoy doing it, and to have done it for as long as I have, I guess I've had a huge sense of enjoyment and learned a lot doing it, and to get to 100 is something that you're obviously quite proud of, but I guess you can't do it without a good bunch of people around you. That's something I always bear in mind. I think when I started, probably more learnt this when I was started in 06, was it felt like I needed to have all the answers, know it all myself, and always be the guy talking. It felt a little bit like that, but I think as time goes on and become more comfortable, if someone else has got the right answer, you go with that. Or I think at the end of a game, you sit back and if the team's gone out and performed well and the job's done, to know you've had an influence over how that team's come together that week to perform, and I think you get a lot of satisfaction out of seeing other guys do their jobs well and play well and get better. I think that's the bit that I've enjoyed over the years. I think you come in, you want to prove yourself as a player firstly, and then you sort of what other challenges you got, and then it sort of goes away from yourself to actually how you can help the team perform better and better, and that's something that you get a huge sense of satisfaction out of. There was perhaps a point after the 2007 World Cup where I perhaps questioned whether I was good enough to do it or the right person to do it, which I suppose is natural when you have a disappointment like that. But I don't think you'd carry on doing it if you didn't want it. Like, you've got to want to have the responsibility. You've got to want to, put yourself under the pressure that comes with it. And if you didn't do that, then you probably wouldn't last, or you wouldn't want to do it. But for me, I think it helped keep my enthusiasm to really want to do well and play as a rugby player. There's so much to learn with it that I think that's what keeps you going when you realise you've never mastered it. And so from that point of view, I've never really thought this isn't for me. And I think I've played a whole lot more games now as captain than I did as not, and it's sort of become I guess just the norm, really. I don't think you ever reach a goal like that, but those sort of goals are things that allow you to live every day the way you want, and it's something to keep coming back to. Is same with being a top player, great player, or whatever. It's whether you ever get there is irrelevant. It's actually what would a guy who one day just considered that do today. And same with the team. What would a team that's one of the most dominant do on Saturday? They'd go out and perform well, and that's just keeps those standards. No matter whether you're playing a team you should beat easily or not, you keep those standards high. And I think that's the thing that I love about being in this environment, is that you're always striving, no matter what the situation, to be better. The great thing about being on the field, I always think, is when things aren't going your way, is that I can do something about it. When you're sitting on the sideline or whatever, you can't actually do anything, whereas I've got an influence. And when I put my thoughts and what I say, especially for a team around you, has a huge bearing on what they're going to be thinking as well. And it's easy to get caught up in feelings when the facts are different, and that's something I always and just when you start thinking like that, all of a sudden it puts things to the side, and you can say, well, what do we need to do next? We need to win a line-out. Well, we've practiced that a week, so why can't we go and do it? But whereas if you feel like, the opposition's on top of you, all those things can become a great big monster. But whereas you focus on the next job of just doing that, well, it becomes quite simple. And then if you put a few things like that together, it can make you can get back into the game. And the one thing I know with rugby, and I always think that, is that even when you're under the pump, no matter what, at some point it'll change, and you got to make it change, but it will come back your way, and you got to be good enough to take those opportunities. I think people want a magic bullet, but it's not. There's no real magic to it. It's just, I think for me, is just being prepared. Perfect. Cheers, guys.